I've been playing Dragon's Dogma 2 for the last week, and I have thoughts.
The time has come.
What it do, Drag Nation? Dragon's Dogma 2 is of course the highly anticipated follow-up to Dragon's Dogma, which was published by Capcom more than 10 years ago. Players both familiar and unfamiliar with the franchise will find there is a lot to love about this sequel, but also plenty of cringe.
I'll catch that wretch yet.
You're a kind one, aren't you? 'Twould seem I am in your debt. In fact, there's aught I would ask of you if you've the time to spare.
Aha! There you are!
Dragon's Dogma 2 is an incredibly fun and ambitious game, but nobody will accuse it of being the most polished. So in this review, I'm going to talk about what I liked and what I didn't like during my playthrough to help you decide if this game is right for you. I will avoid talking about the story as much as possible beyond the basics and will be mostly showing footage relatively early in the game so you don't get spoiled. Instead of giving a score out of 10, I prefer to rate games based on if I would recommend you spend money. The highest rating I give is pre-order and the lowest rating is don't play even if it's free. Let's see where Dragon's Dogma 2 lands. Shout out to Capcom for the early access. So Capcom gave fans a sample of the game in the form of the character creator instead of a traditional demo, and this turned out to be a great idea because I've spent more time with that creator than I've spent on some of the games in my backlog combined. Several images went viral online showcasing the incredible detail of the Dragon's Dogma 2 character creator, which allowed people to recreate some of their favorite fictional characters and celebrities like Bully Maguire, Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, and Nightmare Pikachu.
What the hell is even that?
Somebody even managed to make Willem Dafoe. It's pretty crazy. Since I'm traveling through a huge fantasy world slaying monsters, I of course made Kratos as my Arisen, who is the main character of Dragon's Dogma 2. Arisen are legendary figures marked by the great dragon terrorizing the world and rightful rulers of the kingdom you will be fighting to save. At the start of the game, you'll be prompted to create your own character while you're in prison, and the game will allow you to use a preset character, create your own, or import your build from the character creator demo, which allows you to transfer one Arisen and one pawn from your save file. A pawn is basically your NPC sidekick that will be traveling with you. You use your Arisen powers to summon a pawn from a magical stone, and from there you can start creating. After that, however, you'll find pawns pretty much everywhere. They'll be hanging around town, walking along the road, or can be found inside the rift, which is the parallel world where pawns come from inside the stone. These can be found at any pawn guild. Their main purpose in the game is to be your servant, so don't expect much interaction from most of them. They'll mainly introduce themselves and explain what their personality is.
I'll carefully conserve my strength and endeavor to survive every battle by way of sound strategy and defensive tactics.
You can hire up to 2 more pawns to join your Arisen and the main pawn for a total party size of 4. You can hire them with a special pawn currency that you earn whenever your pawn hangs out inside the rift and returns. It's also something you can find lying around, and some pawns can be hired without spending any. Pawns can also grant you a reward after fulfilling a specific condition. They are very useful, and I suggest picking one whose vocation is a good match for yours. Since I'm using Kratos, I chose the fighter vocation for the shield and sword. So I wanted my pawn to be an archer or mage to get that range support, which is perfect because I wanted to stick with the God of War theme when making his companion, so obviously I chose to create Lady Sif, the best part of God of War Ragnarok. The creator is incredibly fun and allows some of the most freedom I've ever experienced in one of these modes. It's not as horny as Baldur's Gate 3, but some of the devs were definitely designing Dragon's Dogma 2 with one hand. Now, making Kratos and Sif was actually pretty easy despite the mountain of options you have. The hardest part of making both characters was definitely the tattoos, which was a bit of a nightmare because you have to get really creative in order to not only generate accurate looking ones, but move them to the right place on their bodies. But other than that, it was fantastic, and it's definitely something you will probably sink 2 hours into without realizing. My next favorite part of the game is the combat. Both Arisen and pawns can choose from optional classes called Vocations, which will determine your combat style, weapons, gear, and special skills. The base vocations are Mage and Archer for people who are into range combat, and there is Fighter and Thief for players who like to get up close and personal. As you defeat enemies, it grants you XP that goes toward your character level and vocation rank, as well as skill points that are called Discipline. Discipline is what you use to unlock new skills connected to your chosen vocation, but you can also use it to buy new vocations as you unlock them. You can change your vocation whenever you want by going to a guild, which is also where you can customize your ability wheel to decide which loadout of skills you want to take with you on an adventure. Unfortunately, you can't change the abilities whenever you want from the menu. You you must either do it at a guild or a campfire. Campfires can be found out in the wild, and as long as you have a camping kit, you can use them to rest until morning or evening, which restores the health of your entire party. This will be necessary because there is a sort of progression fatigue system, so if you take damage, your health bar will fill up less and less no matter how much you heal. You can only restore it fully by resting at a campfire, sleeping at an inn or your home, and with a rare potion. You'll be able to buy homes in different towns you visit, which I recommend over sleeping at an inn since those cost you thousands of gold per night, so always have a camping kit on hand when leaving a town. Traveling through the world and fighting monsters for me was the best part of the game, though it's sometimes pretty frustrating. One of the things that was a struggle for me about Baldur's Gate 3 was that I'm personally not a fan of turn-based combat, and fortunately Dragon's Dogma 2 delivers extremely fun real-time action. It took some adjusting as there's no traditional target lock feature, so you have to constantly maneuver the camera so you can see enemies coming. But once you start unlocking these special skills related to your vocation, things start picking up. I had to actually switch vocations from fighter to thief because the blocking system felt stiff and awkward, and you're not allowed to dodge unless you're the thief vocation. I'm glad I did because the thief made me feel like Kratos wielding the blades of chaos. By sacrificing some defense in a block, you can instead dash and unleash incredibly fast and explosive combos with your dual blades. The thief also comes with different abilities that allow you to hide in plain sight from targets and deliver devastating killing blows. Your companions can't be controlled in combat like in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, for example, but you can direct them with the same simple commands that you can also use outside of battle to have them collect materials or lead you to objectives. These commands include go and help. This part was a bit disappointing as I'd prefer having more control over my companions in order to better direct them in battle, but the AI usually does a fairly good job even without you having to tell them what to do, though sometimes they are pretty stupid and don't listen to your orders, which can be very annoying when you're desperately mashing the come to me command in order to avoid a giant monster encounter, and they instead get themselves killed, forcing you to double back and carry them away to revive them. The combat encounters all feel very dynamic and free. You'll have to carefully manage your resources so you have plenty of ways to heal yourself quickly, especially when it comes to stamina. You lose it as you sprint or perform special skills, and you will really notice the loss when playing with a melee fighter. The game actively punishes you for running out of stamina as well by forcing you into an exhaust state, which will sometimes make you want to throw your controller. After maxing out the thief vocation, I was disappointed to see there was nothing that slows stamina consumption from skills. Boss fights offer you creative ways to approach battles rather than hack and slash, which is necessary since every boss has at least 3 health bars. This can include tripping large enemies, hitting weak points, or causing landslides. It's a pretty amazing feeling when you're just exploring the forest and then see a giant magical creature on the road up ahead, though the spawn rate of encounters can get pretty absurd. There was one mission that took me further from town than I expected, and it literally took 2 hours to get back because not only is the map huge, there was a monster encounter literally every 20 seconds, and navigating the map can be pretty difficult in general due to limited traversal options. The epic music definitely helps though. From the opening title screen, the score absolutely slaps and gets you ready to leap face first into a world of monsters and magic. The story is a bit of a mixed bag. The lore is deep, most of the missions are interesting, and there's a lot to do, but if you are a Baldur's Gate 3 fan and we're hoping to have deep conversations with your companions, build meaningful relationships, and eventually unlock some not safe for work scenes with the right dialogue options, you will be extremely disappointed. Most of the NPCs you meet in the world only exist as filler or to give you quests. Your main pawn only has 2 dialogue options with only a handful of potential responses.
I hope you slept well, Master. How might I serve you, Arisen? Where ought we to go now?
Otherwise, they just explain what their personality is. It's pretty disappointing. The awkward looking dialogue scenes don't help either, as it often looks like whoever you're talking to is reciting the script in your general direction and show no real emotion on their face outside of actual cutscenes, which look fantastic and make everything else look janky in comparison. The dialogue is at least performed well even when it's limited. Speaking of limited, the size of this world is truly insane, which definitely came at a cost. In addition to all my previously outlined issues, there is some very very aggressive pop-in, with NPCs and structures appearing out of thin air sometimes, just a few feet in front of you, but you can interact with all of them. They may not say much, but they will have dialogue and distinct looks. It's encouraged that you take the time to walk around towns and talk to people, which can lead to new quests or clues to help you solve your current ones. Plus, a lot of the buildings can be entered into, and these often have resources you can find. I can easily see you hitting the 200-hour mark in this game, and a big part of that is simply the scale of the world, combined with the limited traveling options, especially as you're being introduced to the game. Exploring is great, but there will be times when you have a mission to do, and you would punch a puppy in the face for some fast travel. The game does have that in the form of ox carts, which you can fall asleep in, and you'll wake up at your destination in the next town, unless the cart is attacked by monsters, in which case you have to get out and take care of business, hopefully without allowing the cart to be destroyed. Unfortunately, you can't tell the cart where to go, as the ox carts are only going back and forth between two specific towns, which sucks sometimes. The other fast travel method is with port crystals. These large purple crystals are hidden in different towns throughout the world. They allow you to teleport directly to another port crystal that you've discovered, as long as you have a fairy stone. You can sometimes earn them as rewards or buy them for 10,000 gold apiece. So yeah, you're going to be doing a lot of walking, which is mostly fine because it's genuinely fun to explore. Plus, battling monsters will help you level up fast and earn new skills and vocations. Once you get rich and have discovered more places, this should be more convenient, but I'm nowhere near there yet. Gold is pretty easy to get, but that requires more exploring. You can find it lying around or steal it off the monsters or people you slay. It's also a reward for completing missions, and you can sell things at merchants to further increase your funds. I own 2 houses right now, so I'm doing alright for myself. Besides the pop-in and awkward dialogue scenes, the performance was pretty good. I never had any frame drops, but the game does have this weird glitch where sometimes NPCs randomly attack you. Like, I had a side mission where I needed to drop poison on a monster nest. I found the jar outside the village where I was instructed, but the people who I was supposed to be journeying with randomly attacked me, causing me to drop the jar and spill the poison on the ground and myself. Yet even though I didn't actually drop the poison into the monster nest, it triggered the end of the mission and everyone went back to normal. I think despite the jank, people are really going to love this game. Similar to old Bethesda titles like Skyrim, the more skills I unlocked, the more stunning locations I stumbled across, and the crazier monsters I encountered, the more I wanted to keep playing. Some of the jank can be immersion breaking, but I kept finding myself eager to jump back in to keep learning what other secrets are waiting for me. I think fans of the first game are going to love this, but there is plenty for newcomers to the series like myself to enjoy if you can look past the rough edges. I rate Dragon's Dogma 2 as a buy.